I'm Chris Mortimer. I hold an MBA-type qualification and I'm an experienced MBA lecturer. I've taught thousands of students here in Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and what I found is there's lots of different reasons for doing an MBA. And also, some students get a lot out of an MBA, some students have a less good experience, to say the least. So why is that? In this video, I'm going to look at 9 reasons that I've heard for doing an MBA. I'm going to give you my take on each reason. A common reason for doing an MBA is that you want to be an entrepreneur. And there's no doubt on most MBA courses, some of the content at least is directly relevant to entrepreneurship. You might have a module on entrepreneurship, innovation, startups, new technology, whatever it might be. At the same time, a lot of the content won't be directly relevant to you. And there's a more important question here, which is an MBA takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of financial resources. Might you be better off investing that time and that money in starting your business and in learning all those tough lessons you're going to have to learn in order to be a successful entrepreneur? Might you be better off spending those resources being an entrepreneur rather than doing an MBA? This is the key question you're going to have to consider. Now this one's kind of personal to me because I did my MBA type qualification wanting to get a business conversion course. I had an arts undergraduate degree. I've been working in business for a few years and I felt I was lacking some conceptual frameworks, lacking the ability to do the analysis. I mean, what is strategy? I really couldn't answer those questions well. So for me, it was filling a gap and moving me towards being more of a business person. And for me, it worked really, really well. But I would say, if you're coming from that kind of perspective, you're probably not going to really enjoy all of the MBA modules. I would say on my MBA type qualification, I only had 2 or 3 modules, or maybe 4, where I really got lots and lots of value out of the module. But one of those modules was spreadsheet modeling. And that gave me all this, what I'm doing now, which is spreadsheet modeling. I have a company, Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions, that does spreadsheet modeling. So a business conversion course for me is generally a good reason, but just don't expect to get value out of every module, but you might have 2 or 3 career changing modules in that. If you want to learn the latest business theory, an MBA seems like a good choice, but there's a few things to bear in mind here. The truth is that what is taught on an MBA is driven to a great extent by the availability of the staff in the institution. So a typical MBA will have some modules with more cutting edge and up-to-date stuff, but it's also going to have some more traditional content, and that's content that you might have done before if you've done any kind of A-level business studies, for example, and it's content that is going to seem a bit less exciting. So I recommend here, you've got to do your research. Can you get in touch with the institution, get a list of the module titles and look at the key texts for each of those modules and decide, what is the balance there? Is it up to date or is it more traditional stuff? And does that balance suit you and your interest in the latest business theory? Almost all MBA programs these days claim to have some input from industry, but I encourage you to really ask some questions of the people promoting the MBA program, because I find this aspect is something that students are often disappointed with. So what specifically can you expect? What's actually happening? Do you have industry speakers coming in on each module? If that's the case, then ask who exactly is coming in, who came in for the last module. Do you have people like me teaching on the course who work in industry 3 to 4 days a week and then teach in academia 1 to 2 days a week? You're perfectly entitled to ask questions of the institution here. What's happened in previous years? You're perfectly entitled to know the names of some people that have come in. One particular benefit of MBAs is there's often good collaboration at the end of the MBA program. You'll find the university collaborates with some other companies, some other organizations, which means that you can do your dissertation project in industry, maybe do a project for a particular company out there, which might be your company. So this works in different ways, but I've often found that students are disappointed with it. So make sure you're asking the right questions. This sounds like an obvious one. Of course, an MBA is going to teach us something about business, but there have been some critiques over the years from people like Management Science, Russell Ackoff, for example, who criticize the way MBAs are structured, and they're structured in modular ways. Universities have to deliver it in this module structure so they can assess and so that they can give you a grade. But how realistic is that when we compare it to the real world? If we're doing modules in HR, innovation, business strategy, and these modules are all siloed off, how realistic is that for a manager in the real world who's actually managing all of these things at the same time? So this kind of siloed nature of delivery is a common critique of MBAs. It's something for you to bear in mind when you're thinking about whether to do an MBA or not. If you want to learn technical business skills, so it might be some computer programming, it might be financial modeling, whatever it might be, you've got to think very carefully about whether an MBA is for you. And I've seen quite a few students over the years be disappointed in this respect, because the truth is most MBA programs don't have much technical content. They're designed to appeal to a very broad audience. They're designed to have high volume. They don't have a lot of technical content, because to have technical content, they'd have to have specific entry requirements. For example, candidates might have to have a maths qualification or something like that. So if you want technical content, you've got to think very carefully about your choice of course. Maybe a specialist master's program might be more suitable for you. For me, networking is one of the clearest benefits of doing an MBA. I've met lots of students over the years who really enjoyed meeting the other students, like-minded people, people at a similar stage in their career, people junior to them, people senior to them, people in other sectors, even academics like me. Lots of people get value out of MBA programs in this way. But you've got to ask yourself a question. If you're just doing an MBA for the networking, then, well, is that the most efficient way to get those benefits, those networking benefits? Might you be better off just signing up for some new networking events this year? Might that get you the same benefits? So you shouldn't do an MBA just for the networking, but almost everybody cites the networking as a great advantage of an MBA. Lots of people out there do the MBA simply to get the qualification on their CV. And believe me, we know, the lecturers know, the students in there who aren't really interested in the content, don't really want to engage with the learning, maybe don't want to engage with the other learners there. We can tell they're the people who just want the qualification on their CV. Now, don't get me wrong, it's fine if you want to do that, but it is going to feel kind of long and arduous and boring. So I'd invite you to think at this stage, do you really need an MBA? It takes a lot of time, a lot of resources. Are you making assumptions that you need an MBA, you know, just because one of your senior managers has an MBA? It's a lot of time, it's a lot of investment, you know, and people around you, the lecturers and the other people you're studying with, will kind of be able to tell that you're not fully committed to what's going on. So of course, you could do an MBA for this reason, but make sure you give it some real thought first. There's no doubt you're going to meet some academics on your MBA, 10, 12, maybe 15 different lecturers, and with your dissertation supervisor, you're going to have to work quite closely. So I hope you're looking forward to that. But there's a few things to bear in mind here, because the thing about academia is teaching is not always considered the glory job. Yes, there's plenty of academics out there who aren't actually that interested in teaching. They're much more interested in doing their research, getting into publications, speaking at conferences, and things like that. So I just want you to bear that in mind. Not everybody who teaches you is going to be super enthusiastic about doing that teaching. Something to bear in mind when you're dealing with the academics on your MBA program.